Edited by F1-20101.
Another big name leaves Red Bull as the chances of Max leaving the team increase. Mercedes is very confident about new upgrades, and Renault is ready to pull the plug as 2026 engines are on the horizon. Do consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get straight into the latest F1 news. McLaren has concluded a major piece of business in extending the contract of their impressive team principal, Andrea Stella. Stella stepped up from McLaren racing director to the team principal role in time for the 2023 campaign to replace Andreas Seidl, with the team's trajectory following a remarkably steep rise since. Returning to regular podium scoring ways in Stella's first season in charge, McLaren has taken the next step in F1 2024 by becoming a race-winning outfit again as they chase a fresh title triumph, having not tasted such success since 2008. And the team has taken a major step towards realizing that ambition by securing Stella's services for the coming years under what they describe as a multi-year extension, which reaffirms the long-term stability of the team in its pursuit of world championships. Reacting to the announcement, Stella said, "It's a privilege to be part of the McLaren Formula One team, and I am honored to continue in my role as team principal. We've made great strides forward in the past year and a half, and we still have a lot more work to do to consistently fight at the front of the grid, which poses an exciting challenge. Success comes through the team working in synergy, and I am enjoying my role, which has allowed me to help unlock individual talent and empower people to work together towards our team's objectives. My thanks go to Zak Brown, McLaren Racing CEO, for his confidence in me as a leader, to my entire leadership team and all my colleagues in the team for their continued collaboration and support. I am excited for what we can continue to achieve together." Brown added, "I am delighted to confirm we've extended Andrea's contract as our F1 team principal for multiple years. His excellent leadership, expertise, and the respect he holds within the team and Formula One means we could not have a better person in place to continue the pursuit of consistently fighting at the front of the grid." His impact on McLaren F1 in his role as team principal has been profound, not only through our results on track and the trajectory of the team, but also in his development of our culture and mindset. With multi-year extensions already agreed with Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and now Andrea, we can confidently continue on our quest to become world champions. We're all looking forward to the years to come under Andrea's leadership. McLaren has trimmed Red Bull's F1 2024 Constructors' Championship lead to 42 points as they chase a first Constructors' title since 1998. Following on from Red Bull's bombshell that Jonathan Wheatley will join Audi as team boss, the German marque has confirmed the signing. Wheatley will work closely alongside fellow Audi new signing Mattia Binotto, with the current Red Bull sporting director joining the German manufacturer for its entry into F1 in 2026. Having confirmed the signing of Mattia Binotto before the Belgian Grand Prix, Audi has clarified Wheatley will head up the management team at Sauber Motorsport AG alongside Binotto, with both reporting to Gernot Dahlner as chairman of the board at Sauber. Duties and responsibilities between the duo have been individually defined, according to Audi, with both Binotto and Wheatley assuming responsibility for the success of the Audi F1 team when it takes over Sauber for the 2026 championship. As Chief Operations Officer and Chief Technical Officer, Binotto will take over the operative management of Sauber Audi, leading the technical development of the racing cars. He will oversee the technical interface between Sauber's team at Hinwil and Audi Formula Racing GmbH in Neuburg, where the power unit will be developed. By July 2025, having served gardening leave from Red Bull after the conclusion of the 2024 championship, Wheatley will take up his role as team principal and management spokesperson, focusing on the performance of the team and operational management of races, and will represent Audi as its F1 team principal. "I am extremely proud to have been a part of the Red Bull racing journey over the last 18 years and will leave with many fond memories," said Wheatley. However, the opportunity to play an active part in Audi's entry into Formula One as head of a factory team is a uniquely exciting prospect, and I am looking forward to the challenge. Also, I am glad to be working together with Mattia, whom I have known for many years and who is the right person to collaborate with in this exciting project. Binotto welcomed Wheatley to the Audi project, saying, "I have known Jonathan for many years and rate him highly as an experienced and committed motorsport expert. 2026 is not a long time away now, and I'm looking forward to setting up the new racing team for Audi along with Jonathan and leading it to success. With the appointment of Jonathan and Mattia, we have taken a decisive step towards our entry into Formula One, Gernot Dollner, Audi's CEO. I am convinced that with the two of them, we have been able to combine an extremely high level of competence for Audi. Their experience and their ability will help us to get a foothold quickly in the tough competitive world of Formula One. The appointments of Binotto and Wheatley come shortly after confirmation that Andreas Seidel and Oliver Hoffmann, both instrumental figureheads over the past 18 months of building the Audi F1 project, have departed. Earlier on Thursday, Red Bull confirmed Wheatley is to depart the Milton Keynes-based squad after 18 years. Wheatley currently serves as the reigning champion's sporting director and has played a key role in all the championships Red Bull has won during its two-decade history. With Red Bull having renewed the contracts of most of its leading engineers in recent months, including technical director Pierre Wache, chief engineer Paul Monaghan, and arrowhead Enrico Balbo, a conspicuous absentee from the list had been sporting director Jonathan Wheatley. The reason behind this became clear on Thursday, as Red Bull confirmed Wheatley's switch to Audi following a period of gardening leave in 2025. Today, Oracle Red Bull Racing announces the departure of sporting director Jonathan Wheatley as he heads to a new challenge, taking up the role of team principal with the Audi F1 project, said a statement from Red Bull. Wheatley had been linked with a move into team management for some time, with his name having emerged as a potential successor to Christian Horner, had Red Bull opted for change during the peak of the turmoil that enveloped the team early in the year. Audi initially declined to comment on Red Bull's statement, with confirmation of Wheatley's signing coming just a few hours later with a statement of its own. In the midst of a season in which Mercedes has nailed the W15's upgrades, Toto Wolff has rejected a suggestion they got it wrong with the floor at Spa. Arriving at Spa on a 5-race podium streak that included race wins in Austria and Britain, Mercedes brought new parts for the W15, one of which was a new floor. It, however, looked as if the team's streak could come to an end, with Lewis Hamilton lamenting a pretty bad day on the Friday with a completely different feeling with the W15 compared to recent successful outings. The team opted to revert to the Silverstone package, removing the updated floor as part of that, with George Russell going on to lead Hamilton across the line in Sunday's Grand Prix, before he was disqualified for a technical infringement. Hamilton picked up the victory, his 105th in Formula One, as Mercedes still recorded their third win in 4 races. Wolff was quick to deny the Spa floor was Mercedes' first development hitch of 2024, adamant he's confident it was just an anomaly. "Yeah, I think we are confident," the team principal told the media. "We made a drastic change in order to recover some of the performance, but we believe it wasn't the floor. So it'll be quite interesting when we put everything on the car in Zandvoort and correlate and see what one does to the other one. Then we can be sure whether it's the mechanical bit that we thought we got wrong or whether there's a few interactions aerodynamically and mechanically that didn't work here." The team's trackside engineering director, Andrew Shovlin, confirmed Mercedes will reinstall the Spa upgrade package at the next race in Zandvoort. "The reason we reverted the car to the Silverstone spec on Friday night was because we had a good race in Silverstone," he said in Mercedes's post-race debrief. Spa and Silverstone are not dramatically different circuits in terms of the corner speed range that you are dealing with. We had clearly introduced some problems somewhere. We think that was largely due to how we were running the car in Spa, not induced by the updates themselves. That was giving us a bit of bouncing in the high-speed corners, as well as a few issues with the balance. Going to that Silverstone car got it all back to normal. We have since had time to look at the data to understand what it was that we did, and we are pretty confident that we will be going for a reintroduction in Zandvoort." Renault potentially discontinuing their Formula One power unit division is a damning and negative statement of their Viry personnel, said Karen Chandhok, as David Croft claimed it calls into question whether the 2026 regulations are worth all the pain. 2 major announcements came out of the Alpine team over the Belgian GP race weekend, the first being that team principal Bruno Faman would be departing the role, and the other being that a proposal had been submitted to conclude use of the Renault power unit and transition to customer team status. Sky F1 pit lane reporter Ted Kravitz, as he listed off a host of race and title-winning drivers with Renault power, suggested that this is a bigger story than many may initially realize. So, Alain Prost, René Arnoux, Jean-Pierre Jabouille, Fernando Alonso, Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill, Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna, they've all taken advantage of great race-winning engines in Formula One from the Renault concern, he said. So not only do we have the departure of Bruno Famin, just a year after the departure of his predecessor Otmar Safnauer, but then it seems to be the de-worksification of Renault in Formula One. And I'm going to say that I think this is a bigger story than you might realize at home. Should Alpine become a customer team, that move will come in F1 2026 when a new era of power units are introduced alongside revamped chassis regulations. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has already confirmed exploratory discussions took place with Alpine. And former F1 driver Chandhok has two major takeaways from the Renault news, those being that the 2026 regulations are set to fail on increasing the number of PU manufacturers, and secondly, that Renault has expressed a damning lack of faith in their Viry engine division. There's a lot of questions around that whole Alpine program, because if they've canned the engine program, I mean that is big, I agree with Ted, said Chandhok. It's a big story because the regulations around 2026 were designed to bring more manufacturers in, and net effect, you've got Audi but you lost Renault. I think secondly, it's quite a damning statement for Renault as a group if you're saying essentially, we're shutting our engine department because we don't think they're good enough, and we're going to go to an external supplier. That's quite a negative statement for the Renault group to be sending out as a message that they don't believe their organization in Viry is capable of producing something that's competitive enough. Sky F1 lead commentator David Croft, picking up on Chandhok's first point, pondered therefore whether the 2026 regulatory shakeup is actually worth all the pain. Red Bull's dominance has been whittled away in F1 2024, with the opening 14 rounds of the season producing 7 different Grand Prix winners. You've held on to Honda, you've gained one, and you've lost one, said Croft. And it does make you wonder, is this 2026 engines worth all the pain? Especially when we're going through a really good period in Formula One at the moment, and we'd quite like to keep it this way. Alpine sit P8 in the current F1 2024 Constructors' Championship standings with 11 points on the board. Red Bull's senior advisor Helmut Marko branded Oscar Piastri the mentally stronger of the two McLaren drivers as Lando Norris looks to reel in championship leader Max Verstappen. Norris is the closest challenger to Red Bull's Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship standings. Verstappen's lead 78 points over Norris. But with McLaren's rapid rise making them a severe threat to Verstappen and Red Bull, Piastri has been holding his own, and then some against teammate Norris. Piastri claimed his first Grand Prix win by heading a McLaren 1-2 in Hungary, before finishing runner-up next time out in Belgium, where Norris finished P5 having harried Verstappen but found no way through. A poor start hampered Norris, who again proved to be highly self-critical after the race. Piastri has reduced his deficit to Norris to 32 points, but with McLaren sensing an F1 2024 title challenge, Zak Brown, McLaren Racing CEO, has teased that team orders may need to come into play at some stage. It's very important we let both drivers race. They're both very capable of winning races as they've shown, Brown began when speaking to Channel 4. Obviously, as we get later into the season, depending on where Lando is, if there's areas that Oscar can help support in his quest for the championship, we also are chasing a Constructors' Championship. It'll be something that Andrea Stella, team principal, takes a view on. That's probably a race-by-race thing. You'd never really want to compromise a big result for Oscar. Can he help him in some other ways? But I think we'll just take it one race at a time. And seemingly in reference to that, Marko, speaking to Sky Germany, expressed his belief that Piastri is stronger mentally than Norris. I don't know what the points difference is between the two McLaren drivers, but it seems Piastri is mentally the stronger one, said Marko. Oscar has gradually closed the gap to Lando and is even faster at times, but we will see how the decision turns out. With Formula One now into its summer shutdown, Norris said he needed this opportunity to reset, having recently made too many stupid mistakes. Among them, he highlighted the start of the Belgian GP, where he ran wide out of turn 1 and dropped from 4th to 7th. I think I just needed to reset, Norris told media. I've given away a lot of points over the last 3-4 races just because of stupid stuff and mistakes, bad starts. I don't know why, it's just silly things, it's not even difficult stuff, it's just turn 1, try to stay out of trouble, trying to make sure there's a gap and not get hit, and I put myself off the track, so just some stupid things. The F1 2024 campaign resumes with the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort on August 25th. David Coulthard does not back Lewis Hamilton's Spa strategy frustration, making a comparison to the McLaren Hungary team orders drama. Hamilton cut a frustrated figure after the Belgian Grand Prix, having looked on course to take the checkered flag, only for Mercedes teammate George Russell to call for and successfully execute the one stop. Russell would hold off Hamilton to the end, and though he was later disqualified for an underweight Mercedes W15, giving Hamilton the win after all, Hamilton had expressed his frustration, before news of Russell's DQ arrived, over not being offered the one-stop option, feeling he had tire life left in every stint. But, speaking on the Formula for Success podcast, Coulthard argued that Hamilton should not feel hard done by, because his teammate figured out a faster way to the finish line, as, that's the way it should be, rather than the lead driver on the track getting preference. He compared the situation to what went down in Hungary, where McLaren undercut leader Oscar Piastri with his teammate Lando Norris, before ordering Norris to concede P1 back to Piastri. That did not sit well with Coulthard. Not all well with Lewis after the race, said Coulthard. Before we found out that George was underweight, you can tell Lewis was not really happy that strategically he'd been outmaneuvered by his teammate. I don't fully get that. I don't know if there was some kind of agreement between them that they would work for the greater good of the team, but Lewis did not look at all happy immediately after the Grand Prix being interviewed in the pen. He was almost saying, well, I'll discuss this with the team behind closed doors and try and understand how did I get out-strategized by my teammate. To be frank, I think that that's the way it should be. If a teammate and an engineer on the opposing car can find a better way to get to the end of the Grand Prix, I don't think it should be after you just because you're the lead driver. That was what we saw in Budapest, where there was that really disappointing switcheroo. Nonetheless, with Hamilton ultimately claiming a second win from his last 3 races, Coulthard believes the 7-time world champion is back at his brilliant best. However, Coulthard is convinced that part of Hamilton's mind will be on his F1 2025 move to Ferrari. Yet with Mercedes having won 3 of the last 4 races, he believes a title challenge after the summer break is not out of the question. But he seems to be back at his brilliant best as he gets into a sort of countdown to leaving Mercedes, Coulthard continued. I'm trying to put myself in his situation, where one part of his mind will be on Ferrari, it's got to be. Instead of him sort of counting down this season and getting the best he can. And arguably, if Mercedes keep going as they are, they could bring themselves back into challenging for both championships. It wouldn't take much misfortune for Max Verstappen, and suddenly he's being attacked from all sides. Verstappen leads the Drivers' Championship by 78 points over Lando Norris, with Hamilton another 49 further back. Red Bull's Constructors' Championship lead, meanwhile, is down to 42 points over McLaren, while Mercedes are 142 points adrift of the P1 spot.
BYE